What role do cultural futurists play in shaping the future of organizations? Today, as we conclude our series on reinventing organizations, we explore how cultural futurists are not just predicting the future, they are actively creating it. Well, rise and shine, leaders. This is Glen, Guyton, keynote speaker and workplace trainer, here for our executive coffee break. Yes, I have my beverage in hand. I hope you have yours too. They say you can't choose your family, but you might as well choose a good beverage, and you can choose your workplace culture. Leadership matters, so you might as well get good at it. And today I am drinking coffee with no cream. And I think I have a crack in my mug. I like that mug, but it has a crack in it. Well, today I want to talk a little bit about cultural futurism, and that's the area that I am working in now. Cultural futurists understand that the future isn't a distant reality, but is one that we are crafting with every decision and action today. They analyze trends, anticipate shifts, and guide organizations to adapt and thrive in an ever evolving landscape. Their vision extends beyond mere business success to encompass a more holistic, inclusive, and sustainable approach to organizational growth. And so, as we think about the workplace and a changing workplace, something that we've talked about, how do we plan for the unplanned, the unpredictable? How do we see disruption before it actually happens? That's part of the work that I do with organizations as we think about cultural futurism. And some of it is looking back at the past, right? What is history saying? We can go back and review history and figure out what the triggers are. But the key is figuring out if those triggers are actually triggering now. And so many of us get caught up in the status quo. I came across this wonderful um, post from Seth Godin, and many of you may be familiar with Seth Godin, but he talks about the status quo. Are you in the status quo? Uh, how many of you like the status quo? You don't like change. Well, change is going to happen. But here, according to Seth Godin, are four cohorts of the status quo. The first group cares about the policy. They benefit from it. They organize themselves around it. All right. The second group cares about stability. They have limited bandwidth, and they're not particularly interested in reconsidering everything all the time. The third group doesn't care much, and the fourth group is harmed by the policy either directly or indirectly. Change happens slowly because the first three groups have power, inertia, and communications on their side. Change happens when the fourth group can create the conditions for the third group to care, and then these two groups move the urgency up the agenda. It makes no sense to argue with the first group. So that's according to Seth Godin. But I love that, and I wanted to share that with you all uh, today. Change is hard because people don't want to change. They don't want to change, and they can't see what's over the hill. They just want to stay behind the hill. It's this kind of like this blind curve effect. And you never want to go fast around a blind curve. Okay, I ride a motorcycle, right? I ride a motorcycle, and one of the things that you have to be careful of are these blind curves. And so you can go fast if you want to around the curve, but you don't know what's on the other side of it. And so either we avoid the curve, either we slow down going into the curve, or we try to predict what's going to happen on the other side. And so predicting what's on the other side helps us, keeps us safe. Yeah, sometimes we do need to slow down, but we also know that there can be hazards around that curve. And so part of the role of a cultural futurist is help us to think about what may be around that curve. What are the cues that are coming? Do I see loose gravel on the road? Am I approaching some type of intersection around the curve? Are there signs telling me what my speed should be? Those are the things that we need to think about in organizations, because change is going to happen. We just have to be prepared for it. The status quo is not going to allow us to grow. It's not going to drive innovation. It's not going to make us more competitive. It's not going to help us to pick the right, the best, the brightest people in our workplace. Some of us are stuck in the past, and some leaders are stuck in the past. Why? Because they are afraid. Going back to that analogy or that blog by Seth Godin, sometimes people create these policies and they've benefited from these policies for so long. So why would they want to change them? I'm not going to change that policy. It benefits me. It benefits me. And it may benefit you. But you're not the only person in the organization. We need to grow. We need to expand. We need to keep moving forward if we want to be relevant in the next iteration of time. The second group cared about stability. They have limited bandwidth. They're just trying to do their job. They're trying to keep their heads down, get that paycheck, and move on. And there's a group that just doesn't care. And so that first group really begins to hold us up because they benefited so long from the status quo that they don't allow the rest of the organization to move forward. So how do you drive organizational transformation? The journey of transformation is both exhilarating and challenging. Cultural futurists empower organizations to embrace change, foster innovation, and cultivate a culture of continuous learning. We got to continue to learn. They champion diversity, equity, and inclusion. Yes. Why? Because it's important that things don't just stay the same. Recognizing these values as essential for a vibrant, innovative workplace. We want to drive somebody say innovation. We want to drive innovation. So what are five? I want to give you 5 keys this morning, today. 5 keys to driving transformation. Number 1 is embrace technological advancements. Leveraging emerging technologies to streamline operations, enhance productivity, and foster innovation. So technology many times is our friend. We have to use it, and we have to update our policies and procedures to accommodate this increase in technology or the changes in technology. Number 2, cultivate a continuous learning environment. Cultivate a culture of continuous learning. Encourage ongoing education and adaptability among employees to keep pace with industry changes. And this may be because of technological changes. This may be because folks are just smarter, they're wiser, they know things. Hang around smart people, get smart yourself, read, have training, a budget for continuous learning opportunities. Get people excited about learning new things, and it's going to drive innovation in the workplace. It's going to open up their eyes so they can see, okay, hey, I like this. I'm going to do this a different way. I know this has worked for us for a long time, but it's not working anymore. How can we do it better? Number 3, foster inclusivity and diversity. I've said this before. Create a diverse and inclusive environment that values different perspectives and enhances creativity. That's what we want to do, right? That's the whole point of why we work at diversity, equity, inclusion, is to get different perspectives, different worldviews, different, different ways of seeing and interpreting the world. That's the important part of it. That's the important part of what we're doing, and we're increasing our opportunity for success because we can draw in new creative people to be a part of our teams, and that people that don't think exactly the way that we think. That's how I build my teams. I like having diverse teams because if everyone thought like Glen, I mean, we would be fantastic, but we wouldn't be the best that we could be, right? I have blind spots. There are things that I miss, things that I don't know, things that I haven't seen. I call my friends that have different experiences that can articulate things better than I can articulate it. They help me to form my thoughts in new and different ways. And so you want to foster that type of environment, that type of workplace. Number 4, implement sustainable practices. Prioritize sustainability to meet current needs without compromising future generations. That's important, right? we want these things to be to last beyond ourselves. We want to we want to commit to our social and ethical responsibility as leaders. We have a you know why, because it's important, right? We want to take care of, even if you don't want to do it morally, right? You want to take care of your future clients, your future customers, so that they can continue to support your work. And so we have to take care of the resources that are available to us. We want to make sure that our companies are doing good and not doing harm. And again, that we can keep this thing going, right? We can continue to grow. We can continue to enjoy the resources that we need in order to drive our business, but also to foster some wellness and well-being with our employees. Number 5, encourage collaborative leadership. Shift towards a more collaborative, less hierarchical leadership style. We've talked about that in other broadcasts, because we want to empower employees and promote a sense of ownership and engagement. And this sense of having people be invested and be owners of companies is not anything new, but I think we need to do it more broadly. We've done this in maybe some small sectors, but let's increase that profit sharing. What are other ways that we can create a sense of ownership and engagement with the people that work for us? So just those are 5 things in order to drive organizational transformation: embrace technology, cultivate continuous learning, foster diversity and inclusion, implement sustainable practices, and encourage collaborative leadership. Those 5 things will begin to drive innovation, drive transformation in your organizations. Now, implementing this change with purpose. Implementing visionary change requires more than just ideas. It demands action. Cultural futurists lead by example, demonstrating how to integrate new cultural norms and values into everyday practices. And so part of this is learning how to do better at what you already do. They advocate for sustainable practices, ethical leadership, and community engagement, making the organization a force for positive impact. We're all connected in this world in so many different ways, so many different connections. Everything is tied together. We I was a project manager, project management professional, and one of the things that I learned as a project manager is about sub optimization, right? That you can optimize one piece of the process, and the other parts of the process are just going crazy, like they're not working right. So it's sub optimization. You can spend all your time trying to fix this one aspect of the system, but the rest of the system is so jacked up that it derails the whole project. And so as we think about uh, our values, as we think about all the things that are going on outside of our organization, outside of our company, we need to pay attention to those things, because they will eventually have an impact on our organization. So if we don't care about our community, if we don't care about the people that are outside of our buildings, eventually, if there's disruption, if something happens, if something changes, it's going to impact how we do our business. If our Not only do we need to care about our employees, but what about our vendors? What about our customers? If we don't take care of all of those people, the communities that we are part of, if we don't take care of those things, if that's not part of our strategic plan, when something happens in these outside stakeholder pockets, it's going to impact us. It's going to impact our organization. Just think of what happened with the global pandemic. It impacted all of us, and people's health, people fearing for their safety, the racial disruption. All of those things impacted us and how we did our jobs. Now, some of it you couldn't have done anything about it, but some things that you can. Some companies were more prepared than others to deal with the challenges of the global pandemic. So now, as we wrap up, I want to give you a challenge. I challenge you to reflect on how you can embrace a role of the role of a cultural futurist within your organization. Identify one area where you can initiate change, whether it's through promoting diversity, adopting new technologies, or fostering a culture of continuous learning. Share your commitment to this in LinkedIn, uh, in the comments, and let's inspire one another and collectively shape a positive future. That's what I want you to do. So let me hear back from you. How are you doing? How can you initiate change, transformation in your organization? So, as we close, let's not forget the strength and perseverance that it takes to lead with empathy and inclusivity. Better leaders get better results. So, to every one of you leading the charge for a more supportive and engaging workplace, I leave you with this: stay bold, stay inspired, and remember that your actions today shape the culture of tomorrow. I'm Glen Guyton. You have a great day.